This is the brand new JBL Flip 7. Or is this the brand new JBL Flip 7? Well, one of these is actually a Flip 6. Kinda hard to tell the difference, eh? If you're thinking they look identical, you're not far off, but there have been a few changes. All right, it's time. This is the brand new Flip 7, so let's dig in a little deeper and see what JBL has been up to these past few years. Let's do it! The new Flip 7 looks pretty similar to the Flip 6. Just like you saw from the front, you can't even really tell a difference. It's almost identical in size, weight, and shape, but like I said, there are a few minor changes once you start taking a closer look. The first thing that I noticed is that JBL has ditched the shoelace and now offers two different carrying attachments that work off a quick release system, kind of like a seatbelt. You just push the button here and it pops right out. You get a JBL branded carabiner, and you also get a little loop attachment. It looks cool, it's nice and strong, but I'm definitely gonna lose whichever piece I'm not using at the time. Another subtle design difference lies in the rubber bumpers that protect the passive radiators. There are now 4 of these little rubber nubs compared to the 3 found on the Flip 6, and this is the first part of the Flip 7's upgraded durability. The Flip 7 is now certifiably drop-proof from the height of 1 meter, even onto concrete. But wait, there's more, a tiny bit more. The Flip 7 also now has an IP68 protection rating, an upgrade from the Flip 6's IP67. Both are dustproof, but the Flip 7 can handle deeper water, 1.5 meters versus 1 meter for up to 30 minutes. Just remember, salt water is a different story. If it takes a dip in the ocean, rinse it off ASAP to avoid any damage. Again, a small upgrade there. I can't say I've ever dropped my speaker into a lake, but I have left them out in the rain camping. Either way, I'm not one to complain about any durability improvements. Other than that, design-wise, the Flip 7 doesn't stray too far from the 6, aside from some control layout changes and a new button, which we'll discuss next. Your controls are still on the top of the enclosure. You get your raised playback buttons in traditional JBL fashion, but as I expected, the Party Boost is long gone and has been replaced with an Auracast button. This is exactly what we saw happen to the Go 4, the Extreme 4, and the Clip 5 last year. This Auracast button now lives in a new backlit control strip with the power and Bluetooth buttons just above your playback controls. I'm still waiting for all of these buttons to be backlit, but hey, at least for now it keeps that one dude at your party who's had a few too many from finding the volume button on your speaker. Just a heads up though, JBL is moving forward with Auracast. This means that unfortunately you can't link up the Flip 7 with older JBL speakers that still rely on Party Boost. You just push the Auracast button on each speaker and you're good to go. I find it links up fairly quickly, and you can also visually manage any connected speakers in the JBL Portable app. Now, like the Flip 6, the Flip 7 works with the JBL Portable app, and if you don't normally download the companion app to use with your speaker, I do recommend it in this case because they've added a pretty useful feature. First up though, as mentioned, the app gives you visual control over your Auracast connected speakers in the Party Together section, and of course you can still pair an identical speaker for stereo performance. But the real upgrade here is some new EQ options. There are 4 presets to choose from, and while I don't think anyone cares about a chill or energetic preset, I was stoked to discover that the Flip 7 now offers a 7-band customizable EQ. This is a decent upgrade from the 3-band EQ available on the Flip 6. It means you can really personalize the sound of the Flip 7, so that's pretty sick. You'll also need the app to activate the new Playtime Boost feature if your battery is low, but we'll get to that in the battery section because that setting comes with a trade-off, so hang tight for that info. While we're still talking about upgrades, the Flip 7 now connects to your device wirelessly via the latest Bluetooth 5.4, and we also have a new connection option. The Flip 7 now offers audio over USB-C and lossless audio at that. Of course, you'll need to be using a service that offers lossless audio like Tidal or Apple Music, but for those of you complaining about the lack of higher bitrate listening options with your portable speakers, there you have it. Just make sure you have a decent USB-C cable on hand and you can continue to act like you're better than everyone else while listening to lossless audio through a tiny mono speaker. I'm just teasing. Now, I did find out that listening over USB won't charge your speaker at the same time, which brings us to battery life. The Flip 7 offers a small bump in battery life, jumping up to 14 hours of playback off a single charge compared to the 12 provided by the Flip 6. Now, this is under normal operation, which is the key term here because you'll see that JBL advertises 16 hours of playback time, but to squeeze out those last couple hours, you need to activate Playtime Boost. It sounds great on paper, but here's the deal with Playtime Boost. It's essentially just an EQ preset. It cuts the majority of your bass frequencies to prevent your speaker from working too hard. The result isn't great. You end up with a podcast-style EQ sound that's mostly mids and treble. Fine if you're listening to a podcast, not so much for anything else. If you are worried about running out of battery, I suggest carrying a power bank instead of relying on the Playtime Boost feature. Now, of course, it's important to remember that your battery life is highly dependent on the volume that you're listening at and how much of the bass frequencies you've cranked up in that new EQ section. The harder your speaker has to work, the faster your battery will drain. And now is the moment we've been waiting for. How's it sound? Well, the Flip 7 is still a mono speaker featuring the same size woofer and dual passive radiators, but according to JBL, they have upgraded its tweeter. It's also now rated at 35 watts over the Flip 6's 30 and features JBL's AI sound boost to
push the driver to its maximum capacity
and
offer powerful bass without a hint of distortion.
But after spending a couple weeks with this speaker, I've made some interesting discoveries. Running through my usual reference tracks, some Daft Punk, my favorite yacht rock playlist, and of course some heavy metal with plenty of double kick drum, comparing both speakers side by side in stock form at a reasonable volume, I found that while they deliver a pretty similar amount of low end for their size, the Flip 7 puts a bit more emphasis on mid-range frequencies. Guitars and vocals on my favorite rock tracks stand out a little more than I'm used to hearing, while treble clarity is about the same. Straight out of the box, I gotta say, I actually prefer the sound of the Flip 6. So this may be a bit of a letdown to hear, but here's the good news. Remember that app? It has that 7-band customizable EQ. So the good news is that you can personalize the sound of this speaker way more than you can with the 3-band EQ that's available on the Flip 6. Dive into the app and you can easily tweak those mid-range frequencies to blend the guitars in a little better and make any adjustments to the treble frequencies if you want to hear a little more or a little less of the drum or cymbal work, for example. It didn't take long at all for me to tweak some settings to get the Flip 7 a little closer to how I wanted it to sound. That said, thanks to Hoffman's iron law, don't expect any miracles when it comes to the low end. This is still a small, conveniently sized portable speaker that you're most likely listening to in less than ideal conditions. You know, having some beers in the garage with your neighbors or listening around a campfire with the constant chatter of your pals. It's not gonna blow you away with deep bass, but boosting the 125 Hz slider in the EQ proved it has a bit more to give. Overall, at reasonable volumes, the bass is solid for its size. It's once you start to push past 75% volume on your phone that things start to fall apart. Flip 7 does its best to keep that bass a-bumpin' without distorting, but it's the rest of the mix that starts to get a little ugly. You end up with some extra harsh mid-range and piercing treble that's not very enjoyable to listen to, but this is the case with almost all compact speakers. They're not meant for critical listening. If you want bone-rattling low end to get your guests out of the chairs and onto the dance floor, just buy a bigger speaker. Something like the Boombox 3 or PartyBox, it's as simple as that. So where does that leave us sound-wise? Well, we've still got a solid sounding speaker, but now with a more customizable sound. The Flip series is hugely popular and with good reason. So maybe it's a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, or maybe JBL has hit its peak and from now on out, we're just gonna get more EQ options and updated connectivity with each new model. So should you buy the new Flip 7 at $149, $20 more than what its predecessor sold for? If you don't already have a Bluetooth speaker and you're looking for something that's portable, super rugged, and has decent sound, go ahead and snag a Flip 7. If you're a Flip 6 owner though, there certainly isn't any rush to click on that buy button just yet. You've still got a perfectly good speaker on your hands for years to come. Heck, take advantage of the impending sales and grab a second Flip 6 and run them in stereo. Now we're talking. Otherwise, just keep in mind that Auracast is the new party boost and it's starting to become a much more prominent thing if you're one of those JBL lifers. By the way, while you're here, just in case you missed it, JBL also announced the Charge 6 today. So if you're thinking that the Flip 7 is just a bit too small for your needs, maybe you want something with a bit more bass or a bit more output, go ahead and check out my Charge 6 video right here. Or is it here? Yeah, it's right here. Happy listening.